We're going to cover Daniel 11, 2 through 22 tonight. And I want you to take a look in your study guide. And if you're watching online from this filming, you can go to our website and download all the study guides there under the resources. But on presentation 1, you're going to find verse 2 through 22. On the left-hand column will be the verse. On the right-hand column is how it was fulfilled in history. Now, folks, I'm not going to cover all the details here. Why? Because most of you did not have history class as your favorite class in school. I know that. And so I've got to make sure I don't get too deep in the weeds of the history or I'll lose you. Now me, I like the history. But I'm not going to get too deep into that. But I will cover all the way to Jesus tonight. Why? Number 1, I want to get to Jesus. Number 2, you need to know that this prophecy has never missed a detail. It's solid. Even if you don't remember the history, you remember there is an explanation for the history and it's solid. And you have verse by verse. And now that I've given you verse by verse in your hands, I'm not going to cover every piece of that because I want more than 5 or 6 of you to come back. So I'm going to cover some of the high points. In Daniel 11, it is a conflict between a king of the north and a king of the south. People, oh, this is complicated. Not really. Once you understand the biblical definition of the king of the north, it's quite straightforward. There's an assumption made by many people that the king of the north would have its capital to the north and the king of the south would have its capital to the south. Sounds like a fairly logical assumption to me, right? But it is an assumption and it doesn't match the biblical explanation. But with the biblical explanation, everything fits really well. Jeremiah gives us the biblical definition. What does Jeremiah have to do with Daniel? Well, when Daniel was growing up, he had a living prophet to listen to. It was Jeremiah. So Jeremiah would have had huge impact on Daniel. And in the book of Daniel, he mentions Jeremiah's prophecies. So we know he did. Jeremiah chapter 1. Then the Lord said to me, out of the north, calamity shall break forth on all the inhabitants of the land. For behold, I'm calling all the families of the kingdoms of the north, says the Lord. They shall come, and each one set his throne at the entrance of the gates of Jerusalem. It's telling us that there's disaster coming out of the north. Did it say its capital's to the north? No. But you're about to be invaded from the north. And in Jeremiah, he's talking about the Babylonians. Okay. Well, in Daniel 2 and 7, it started with Babylonians. And so let's take a look. Here we go on a map. Everything works on a map in Daniel. That's why I love Daniel. It works. All place names, directions, everything always works. Babylon, Jerusalem. Is Babylon to the north or east of Jerusalem? To the east. How is it a kingdom of the north? There's a desert here. So they go up the Euphrates River Valley and they drop down on Jerusalem from the... They invade from the north. The definition in the Bible is a power that is invading Israel and Jerusalem from the north. It doesn't matter where their capital is. There's a desert on this side, water on this side, so Jerusalem and Israel will be invaded either from the north or from the south. That's why there's a king of the north and a king of the south. It's pretty straightforward and simple.